Hi everyone, I'm going live now. You'll be all on in a couple of seconds.
I'll start a couple of seconds after we go live because I think last time there was a lag. So I'll
Sure,
wait for a few seconds once you go live.
sure. I'm just going live now. We are live.
Sukrita, you're on mute. Shipra.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar by ISMG on AI-ready data centers, powering future-ready businesses in partnership with SIFI Technologies. I'm Shipra Malhotra, Managing Editor with ISMG and your host for this session. We are delighted to have you join us for what promises to be an insightful discussion on data center innovations to power the future of enterprises. Today, we have gathered to address a critical aspect of IT infrastructure for the organizations today. As they accelerate their digital transformation drive to fuel continuous innovation and seize new market opportunities, their reliance on data centers has grown exponentially. And managing vast data volumes to support the real-time decision-making and agile operations demands advanced capabilities that accommodate fluctuating market demands, innovations, rapid expansion, and flexibility, while safeguarding the sensitive data. A future-ready data center strategy is imperative for organizations to stay ahead in a competitive landscape. But how equipped are the data centers to accommodate the advanced computing and data-centric infrastructure to support the advanced data analytics and AI-driven demands of modern enterprises, and how to enable them to handle the rapid advancements in AI ML and the advanced computing needs are some of the aspects that we will be covering in the sessions today. I encourage you to actively participate by submitting your questions in the chat or rather in the Q&A section, which you can see at the bottom of your platform. There will also be poll questions, and we will look forward to your insights into that. So before we dive into the session, let's take a moment to welcome our speakers and set the stage for today's conversation. Please join me in welcoming Gitesh Mahajan, Business Head Data Center Services at SIFI Technologies, and Gautam Bakru, Vice President, LOB Head Data Center Services at SIFI Technologies. So over to you, Gautam and Gitesh.
Thank you, Shupra. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. Thank you, Shipra.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Ritesh. And we will just have a small presentation before we go into a deeper discussion and panel discussion. So this is the agenda, what we have defined for today's discussion, how the business priority and technology dreams are getting aligned with data center, where we are moving as per the industry trend, the market dynamics, which are getting changed from the previous IT scenario to the new IT changes which are happening, the building blocks of an AI-ready data center and SIFI data center empowering enterprises. So these are the business and technology priorities, right? As an organization, the businesses want an expansion, that they should have a flexibility to do a diverse geographical location. So the flexibility to do the expansion across location, and the data center service provider should be able to address those particular expansion, the kind of a scalability, flexibility which can be provided. The diverse product portfolio, the innovative product services which are coming, and the alignment which has to happen for the organization. This has to be aligned with the data center flexibility, the organization which can be provided. The operational efficiency remain a very critical aspect on the streamlining the operations, the optimization of the processes, and the resource usage. So how the data centers are getting aligned, these are the business and technology priorities which are coming, and the IT leaders are demanding these particular things. The security, we keep hearing how the security environments are getting changed, and how the security and compliances remains a key factor for any organization. And the data centers are getting aligned not only with the physical security as well as the logical security, or we call the data security, with the multiple aspects of the data center, whether we provide a 10 layer of the data center security, as well as on the firewall level, on the data security which can be provided, which can adhere to the regulation as well as the compliances. The integrated IT and digital marketplaces, which can provide the flexibility for the organization to do the expansion as and when it is required. Every organization want to go online, right? So they want that kind of a data flexibility. They want that kind of a scalability to be provided. They want that kind of a operational efficiency to be provided. So data centers are getting aligned with the same. The digital first platform, see, right? The evolvement of the mobile apps which are coming up, the internet portals which are coming up, right? The VR, IVR which are coming up. So the digital first platform remains the priority for every business organization, and we will get a chance to hear from a lot of leaders in the market as well how those alignments are happening. And obviously the data centers are getting aligned with it. The AI, ML, and analytics, right? The automated routine tasks which are coming up, the decision making, the predictive analysis which are coming up, and the data centers are getting aligned with it. The cyber security, as we mentioned, security and compliances, the cyber security and the global compliances which are getting aligned with it. So that we will be covering actually as part of our presentations. So as we mentioned, that where are we moving and how those traditional IT environment are getting into the digital IT environment. If we have to see the last 4, 5, 7 years, how those transformations are happening. The earlier the organization used to have the centralized or on-premise captive data centers. Now they are moving to a distributed or hybrid environment. Now the customers are moving to either on co-location plus the hybrid cloud environment plus the interconnectivity with the hyperscalers. When the customers were having the captive data center, the scalability, flexibility was a challenge for them. They cannot go and do the immediate expansion. Those kind of a scalability and flexibility is coming when they are moving to the new age data center facility. This is how their transformation is happening, right? Their application landscape, the large was there, actually they are trying to optimize and trying to move to the hybrid environment. There were a lot of manual operations activities which were there actually, right, in the previous scenario, and this is where the transformation is happening. Everything is getting automated, everything is getting digitized, actually everything is getting ticket based. So this is how the environments are getting changed. The tier level design, actually if we go back 4, 5, 7 years back, to tier 1, tier 2, those kind of a design architecture which used to work. Now the new gen 4, right, tier 3 data centers are coming up, tier 3 plus data centers are coming up, which can give you a multiple level of redundancy at the data center side, which can give you heightened security, which can give you a business continuity plan. So overall the scenario from the traditional IT environment is getting to digital IT environment. The security level which was there at the data center site when the customers were having captive data center, it is getting transformed to multi-layer physical security as well as digital security which is there. At the same time, the compliances which were there, which were very unregulated at over 3, 4, 5 years back, now those particular compliances are getting regulated. At the same time, it is getting green and sustainable environment which is getting demanded by the customers, and those adoptions are happening at the data center side. And this is future of digital enterprise which we are talking about, with the AI ML tools coming up, with the hybrid IT infrastructure coming up. The operational efficiency is getting increased, the PUE efficiency is getting increased, which are able to pass on those kind of advantages to the customers as well. Everything is getting digitized, the ticket based information which is getting digitized, the customer experience is getting digitized actually. And you can, over the time, you will see that not only at the data center side, you are seeing these particular transformational changes which are happening at each and every aspect of the business, whether it's a food delivery to the kind of environment which is coming at the data center side. Everything is getting digitized. With the data center getting AI ready, the customers are getting predictive analytics actually, right? How those particular changes, the cooling efficiency, the PUE efficiency, the security alliances which are getting aligned actually. So everything is getting digitized. At the same time, the strengthening data security actually, which we are talking about, security and compliances are getting into in picture actually. So everything is getting hybrid environment, right? But at the same time, it is getting aligned with the AI environment actually, and it is getting future ready.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gautam, for introduction. Thank you, Shipra, for introduction. And then we'll move on to our next section of the presentation, where we'll come to the main topic of this webinar, AI-ready data centers. So we have seen the evolution of data centers. There are various phases that data center has gone through. And today we see them one of the most mature in Indian data center industry. So when we look at, say, a decade back, data centers and the data center system, the expectation of CXOs were limited to having a dashboards, connected devices, connected systems, so that they can have the visibility inside the data center, what is happening on the system level, what are the alerts those are coming, what kind of manual actions that we have to take, what kind of processes we need to set up basis on the dashboards those are available. From that phase, we have moved on to the predictive phase, where we started using time series analysis, data analysis, ML models to predict what can happen. So from the past events, from the past data of so many years that we have generated through various systems, through logs, through email interactions, analysis of that data has started giving us prediction of what could happen if particular situation is there or particular events are there, and we can take those actions. So it is nothing but a predictive analysis and predictive maintenance. That's where we've moved on in terms of data center operations, data center management. But from there, today, when we're talking about cognitive operations and management of data center. What I mean by cognitive is auto remediation. It's only prediction is not sufficient. We have to move beyond that. We have to take actions. But for those actions, we have to still depend on uh, manual support. Now, how do we completely automate the data center operations, data center management is through using smart tools, digital feedback, auto-to-kit generation and resolution. That's the value-added service that we offer along with our data centers. So our approach, because we are moving towards a high-scale AI-ready data centers where we'll be having multi-megawatt data center campuses, it is very, very important that most of the operations are cognitive. That means self-healing techniques or auto remediation operation techniques are in place. When we talk about building blocks of AI data center, we have understood what are the business priorities that require, data centers need to be aligned with. The main is scalability, right? So customers today, with the increasing digitization, scale of data center is increasing. Earlier, you might have taken, say, 10 racks, 100 kilowatt, 200 kilowatt, 300 kilowatt of power with 50 racks. But today that is not sufficient because we are generating more and more data. Especially in case of AI, you have to churn a lot of data, and that needs scalability, reliable power. That power also need to be scaled on demand. So that's where that becomes scalability becomes the fundamental blocks. I'll not talk about all those. I'll talk about important blocks of AI-ready data centers. From the scalability, when we move, we look at future-ready cooling technologies. That's again very, very important when it comes to AI-ready data center, because all these cooling solutions that we have today, traditional cooling solutions, may be sufficient to cool, say, 20 kilowatt per rack. With the cold aisle containment, we can take it up to 30 kilowatt per rack, but not beyond that. However, AI workloads today requires much more than that, maybe 50 kilowatt, 80 kilowatt, or in some cases, we have seen 200 kilowatt per rack. That kind of rack density AI workloads are demanding. And for that, new technologies are coming in place, which is something like we'll cover in the next slide, but I just name it rear door heat exchange or liquid cooling solutions, direct to chip cooling solutions, all those solutions are coming. So your data center needs to be ready to adopt these new cooling solutions. And third, which is most important today, is ESG, because we have equal responsibility towards the society. These AI data centers will consume more and more power. Consumption will keep on increasing. Erstwhile data centers, suppose you build 6 floors, you consume 30 megawatt in that, depending on your floor plate, 30 megawatt in that building. But today, same 6 floors can even cater up to 100 megawatt in the same building if you have all AI workloads and you have sufficient power provisioning with cooling. What it means that we're going to consume more and more power, and we have equal responsibility toward the society to source the green power. Our designs has to be sustainable. And these are three fundamental and necessary building block for any AI ready data centers, which we are very, very conscious about. Apart from that, other important pillars are there, like security, global compliances, low latency, because all these AI workloads ultimately they'll connect to some or the other cloud platforms to have a hybrid IT environment, and AI ML based operations we just talked about, cognitive operations. Taking the same forward, AI ML operations, what we are looking at when we talk about AI and operations is real-time visibility, measurability, predictability, and efficiency. Why we are saying these are very, very important? Because all these combined together, along with the cognitive operations, what it is offering us today is 8 to 10% of savings in terms of PUE, because power consumption is going to be very, very high in all these data centers. And it is very, very important that you take requisite measures to make sure that your data centers operations are efficient, your cooling system are efficient, so you're consuming, sustainably, you're consuming responsibly. So all those things with AIML operations, you can do the analysis and improve your power consumption. Not only that, because you're able to monitor and manage your cooling effectively, your humidity effectively inside data centers. All that leads to improvement of equipment lifetime. From our own experience, we have seen there is a 20% improvement in equipment uptime and lifetime of the equipment as well. We have seen 300 person hour savings monthly because of this automation that we have kept in place, and 10% reduction in operating cost. So all this ultimately, because data centers are serving customers' needs, businesses, all these benefits are ultimately passed on to the customers who are consuming services from these data centers. These are some of the key fundamentals of security framework that we apply to all our data centers. Important is when you visit any of our data centers, there is a 10 layer of physical security. So right from when you reach to the gate or enter into our premises, from there, if you have to access your servers, there is a 10 layers of physical security checks that you have to go through to access your any of the IT hardware or equipment. It is very, very important because data centers today are core to the business. What I mean by that is billions of dollars of business are running from the data centers. And I can safely say that it is even important than banks when we are talking about data centers today, because anything happens inside the data centers, the entire business goes down. So we are aware about this fact, and that's why we have designed our security in such a way that your data, your IT equipment, your hardware, everything is well secured inside our data center premise. Apart from that, we have centralized security command. All our data centers can be managed from a single command centers. Command center in Mumbai are connected to other command centers like Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, and if required, respective data centers can give command to other data center in case of any emergency situation. We have all processes in place, best practices, electronic security controls, everything is in place. I'll not get into each and every detail in the interest of time. Now, as I explained, ESG is very, very important for data centers today because power consumption is increasing. I mean, I can say every day. Earlier in enterprise segment, we used to talk about 3 kilowatt per rack kind of load used to be normal. I mean, not long back, maybe 5-6 years back. From there, we have graduated to 6 kilowatt per rack a couple of years back. And now we are talking about 8 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt per rack kind of load that enterprises are demanding today. What it means that we are more and more increasing our load in the same space. We are consuming more power. And that essentially makes us think about our responsibility towards the society and make sure that whatever additional power or new power demand that we are generating has to be sustainable. For that, we have contracted already 231 megawatt of green power in various data center facilities. SIFI has set the target of being a carbon neutral by 2030 and reduce our carbon emissions in the environment. All our data centers are designed as per ASHRAE guidelines. We follow all ISO standards to make sure that our data centers are efficient. They offer, low PUE factor, improve the water utilization efficiency in our data center. On the right-hand side, you can see there's a live work going on in our solar power plant. We are setting up close to 150 megawatt. It will go live. It's under construction. Some portion has gone live, and rest of the portion will go live in another 6 months of time. So this is something I briefly touched upon in the earlier side, but these are very, very important in terms of cooling, because data center is mainly two things. One is power and second is cooling. Now, power, you can take care with the scalability in-house GIS substation. That is something we have already done in our data centers. I talk about Mumbai data center campus. It can scale up to 300 megawatt to 500 megawatt because we have our in-house GIS substation in place. But cooling is equally important because you'll have high density workload coming in your data center floor. And that's where traditional cooling system will not be sufficient and even not efficient for the operations of AI workload. So these are the three techniques that will come in the future. Most of the time, you will see direct to chip, being used by the customer quite often because that's something is approved by most of the OEM, and that's the highest, demand that we have seen across all AI workload demand that is coming up. But there are three techniques that on and off we have seen customer requesting. One is rear door heat exchange, which is ideal for 20 to 50 kilowatt per rack kind of load. Direct to chip can take up to 50 to 150 kilowatt per rack load. And if you really need very, very high density kind of load, say 200 to 300 kilowatt per rack, then liquid cooling is the only option that is available. Now, fourth pillar of AI-ready data centers that we have seen in the first slide is connectivity, proximity to hyperscalers or clouds and connected campus. All our data centers have a very, very network-rich ecosystem in place. They are placed in strategically important locations. SIFI being a core, ISP company and telco company, we have fiber across India in various locations, connecting all our data centers to each other. Additionally, we have connected to third-party data centers to create a data center network. We have also connected to cloud service providers, POP sites across India. And we're proud to mention that you can, if you decide to work with SIFI or host with SIFI in the data center campus, you will have LAN latency if you want to connect to any cloud service provider in the campus. SIFI, it's very, very important to mention, even though we are into ISP and telco business, we are completely carrier neutral. We welcome all telco players, although there are not many in India today. all telco players to set up their muxes, their devices, equipment in our data center to service our customers, and the equal treatment we offer to all telco service providers. This is something we want to highlight. This is our Mumbai campus. You can see the diagram. All our data center buildings in the campus are connected to each other via 4 fiber path. From one tower to another tower, they are connecting each other. What it means that if you decide to host in any of this data center building, you can seamlessly expand into any upcoming future. So out of 8 towers shown here, although there are 2 new additional towers, so tower 9 and 10 will come in the same campus. But out of 8 towers shown here, we have live till tower 5, 6, 7, 8 are under construction. But if you decide to host in any of the data center building here, you can seamlessly expand your operation in future in any of the data center building, and you'll virtually have LAN latency for that expansion, because we have already created that fiber network connecting all our data center buildings to each other with 4 fiber path. Over to you, Gautam, for the next slide. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Kitesh. And as Kitesh was mentioning, that how those transformation on the sorry, let me switch on the video. Yeah. So how those transformations are happening on the cooling technology, when the requirement over the last couple of years was average of 3 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt, and now the customers are demanding 6 to 10 kilowatt, and GPU based workload is demanding 30, 50, 100 kilowatt. All our data centers are getting AI ready. So these particular cooling technologies are getting deployed at our data center sites. And this is our CIFI's data center footprint. As you can see, all the green shaded one are the one which is live operational right now. Right, all the orange shaded one are under construction, and it will be live in a year's kind of a time, and the pink one are the one which is under planning stage, and it will getting planned and it will be executed in next couple of years. But this is where we are doing the mass expansion across India. We are covering all major metro cities, and we are other than this, these major cities which we are covering, we have a lot of footprint on the edge data centers as well. But this is the large capacity which we are building only at the metro location, and Mumbai being the hub. So the biggest campus which is there in Mumbai is there, being a cable landing station, BFSI requirement, as well as the hyperscaler requirement. So Mumbai being the hub, so where my major expansion on the data center footprint is happening. Our first data center went live in the year 2000, and the data center is still up and running with 100% uptime till today's date as well. And a lot of large customers are hosted at this particular site. Bangalore being the other data center location, with being a seismic zone 2, right? Very stable seismic zone. We are coming up with a very large campus at this particular site as well in Aero City, Yelahanka. Noida being a hub, another hub for the data center market. We have one data center live operational. We are building a large campus in Noida 2 as well, which is 78 megawatt. Kolkata is there to cater to the East market as well. Hyderabad being a financial hub, again being an emerging IT hub as well. We have one data center live operational right now, and we are building up another large campus at Hyderabad 2 campus, which is a FEB city. At the same time, we have a Chennai 2 campus. Our one data center is live operational in Chennai Tidal Park. At the same time, we are coming up with a large campus of 78 megawatt, again expandable, right? Which will be first tower will be live in another 1 month kind of a time. So this is, we will continue to do expansion across India, and all our data centers are AI ready. Sorry, yeah. As we mentioned, right, so we follow the concept of reliability, accessibility, and serviceability, actually based on the design feature for the ready infrastructure, to give you maximum uptime, maximum sustainability, maximum, we can say, the kind of a redundancy which we create at the data center side, right? So 14 data centers with 190 megawatt of IT power is already available. We are doing an expansion of 300 megawatt in another couple of years, right? So all these data centers will be live in next 2 years as well. So all large campuses, as we mentioned, that between my Mumbai, Chennai, Noida, right, Hyderabad, we are building large campuses, and all these data center campuses are expandable, and we can go and add another 300 to 350 megawatt, expandable up to 600 megawatt in these particular campuses. As we mentioned, right, 10 layer of physical security from the time you entered into the data center site till your cage level. There is a 10 layer of physical security is available. All data centers are AI ready, right, with multiple cooling technologies which are coming up, whether it's a liquid immersion cooling, direct to chip cooling, or rear heat door exchanger, right, which can support up to 200 kilowatt of cooling per rack. So those data centers are ready between Mumbai, Chennai, Noida, Hyderabad. So we can support those kind of an environment at any of the site based on the requirement. Data centers are interconnected, hyper-connected. So not only SIFI 14 data center sites are interconnected, we are also interconnected with 65 other data centers across India at the same time, interconnectivity with all major cloud service provider along with internet exchanges. So that facility is available at the data center side. As we mentioned, AI ML tools are deployed at the data center side, which bring a lot of efficiency, operational excellence at the data center side, right, which can give predictive analysis as well as bring out the operational excellence and operational efficiency at the data center side. As Gitesh mentioned, we have also signed a 231 megawatt renewable power contract, and first phase of deployment is already happening at one of our Mumbai campus, and in phase-wise manner, it will go to other data center site as well. These are all relevant critical certification and compliances. So it's a peace of mind for customers. They don't have to go and do these kind of a compliances certification. As a service provider, we can manage those audits, we can manage those compliances, right? And we follow all those critical compliances. So data centers are rated 3 certified. We were the first NVIDIA first DGX ready data center in the country, right? All critical ISO certification, PCI DSS certification, SOC 1, SOC 2 compliances, at the same time green building certification. So all these critical certification and compliances are in place. These are some of the large campuses, hyperscale data center campuses. As I mentioned, Mumbai, Rabale with a 240 megawatt of IT power.
Sorry.
Sorry, right, with 32,000 rack capacity available. 5 towers are operational. We are building another towers in execution phase there. At the same time, my Noida 2 campus coming up with 78 megawatt, my Chennai 2 campus which is coming up with 78 megawatt, the Bangalore 2 campus at 22 megawatt and can be expanded. At the same time, 250 megawatt of Hyderabad 2 campus, what we called in Fab City, which is which will be one of the largest campus in the country. So these kind of a massive expansions across India which are happening, which can help to get aligned in any of the business requirement across any metro locations, and can be catered as a data center co-location services. As we mentioned, right, it's been almost now 23, 24 years, Sifir into data center services. Some of the large, very, very large enterprises are hosted across India. 600 plus top enterprises customers, 3 out of 4 global hyperscalers are hosted out of Sifir. India's top 10 banks actually are hosted across data center site in one or the other location. Some of the large conglomerate, right, from oil to air actually is hosted in a Sifi data center facility, right? And we are doing very, very strategic expansion, right? So not only my data centers, which are co-location facilities are there, we are building private cloud infrastructure. We can give you hybrid environment, at the same time interconnectivity with hyperscalers, internet exchanges that can be offered to you, right? So these are some of the mass expansion which we are doing, not only on the data center footprint but on the service front as well, which can be catered to any of the organization requirement. So this is there from Sifi, tried, tested, and trusted from last 23 plus years, right? So which is our Sifi being a digital infrastructure partner for some of the large enterprise customers, and we will continue to offer our services to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gautam and Gitesh, for taking us through some of the innovations that CIFI is undertaking and how it's evolving along with the new computational and resource-intensive computational requirements with advancements in AI and ML. Before we delve into the panel discussion, which will have the practitioners talking about how their data center strategy is evolving with the growing demands from AI and ML, we will have a short poll. And this will also give some insights to the panelists on what the other organizations are thinking. So can we have the first poll on the screen, please? So the question is, what is your organization's top priority when it comes to IT infrastructure? You have 5 choices. You have to vote for one single choice. While all of them might be your priority, but whatever you see as the topmost priority is what you can choose. We have a few more seconds to go. So if you haven't participated in the poll yet, you can do so now. We'll have the poll up for a few more seconds before we see the results. In case the majority have already voted, we can have the results now. Okay, so enhancing cybersecurity measures is the topmost priority, followed by reducing operational costs through AI ML-led automation. I can see that it kind of resonates with some of the same polls that we undertook in the previous webinar sessions. So let me get insights from Gautam and Gitesh and from our other panelists on this. So please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists. I have with me Ajay Khanna, Vice President, VE Commercial Vehicles, Rishi Agarwal, Senior Director, IT at Concentrix, Navratan Bohra, Vice President and Head of Business Operations and IT at Anand Rathi, Shares and Stockbrokers, and Abhay Bapna, Associate VP IT at Adani Wilmar. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome, gentlemen. Request Gitesh and Gautam for you to stay on for this panel discussion.
Sure. Thank
Great.
you.
So good to have all of you. I'm not sure if everyone got a chance to see the poll results, and if so, any comments, initial comments from your side?
I think Gitesh here. So I think this pretty much in the, as you mentioned, whatever we have witnessed in earlier webinars, cybersecurity remains the key priority for all the organizations. And obviously AI is something nobody can afford to ignore today. So these two segments combined together, obviously with AI adoption, you will have new security challenges coming up where you'll have to further strengthen your cybersecurity framework. So this will go in hand, and I think the adoption will increase further, in both of these segments going forward.
Yeah, great. So I think Abhay, his connection dropped off. So I can't see him on the screen, but as and when he joins, I'll include him in the conversation. So let me start with you, Ajay sir. And we have a fair representation from manufacturing, from financial services and IT industry. So I think we can get a very holistic view of across all sectors. So Ajay sir, if you look at the rapid advancements in the areas of analytics and AI ML, how well is your IT infrastructure equipped to support these technologies? And what measures are you taking to ensure your data centers can handle the advanced computing needs?
Yeah, thanks, Shipra. I think interesting question, and heard about what SIFI is doing. Great amount of work is being done on the data center front, and from a readiness perspective, the data centers are getting ready for handling the huge amount of workload that will come up on those data centers. In terms of our readiness, we had defined our strategy for data center and computing requirements, and based on that, we had identified that we will be going with enterprise workloads on hyperscalers, and that's what we have done in the past 3-4 years. We have moved our entire enterprise workloads onto the hyperscalers, and for workloads which are very critical to us in terms of which have a high latency requirement or a very low latency requirement, these need to be in-house or inside the premises where our applications are running. So we have invested in terms of modular data center within the premises. Also, we have come up with a new state-of-the-art data center within the premises for hosting these applications, which are latency sensitive also, and also which are data intensive. Now, obviously, we are currently running certain workloads which are high computing workloads, such as HPCs, etc. Of course, as we go ahead, there are additional workloads which are coming up, which are basically related to the Industry 5.0 or Industry 4.0 advanced ones, which are more on analytics related, visual analytics related. Okay, so these kind of workloads will definitely require much higher computing, etc. Where we intend to take advantage of the hyperscalers or data center service providers for running these. These are not going to be required from a real-time perspective, but yes, from an analytical perspective, these would be required. So we'll be taking it up accordingly with the relevant support providers or data center providers in these domains. But for in-house workloads, which we have today, are sufficiently catered for at least for the next 5 years. And we have taken care of in terms of sustainability, in terms of power optimization. So our data centers are again cooled racks data centers. These are not entire room cooled. So it is only specific workloads which require cooling. Those only areas are cooled and not the entire room. So we have optimized on that front as well in the new age data center that we have put up. But definitely, as also highlighted by Sifi, the immersive cooling is going to be a big thing coming up next, because that's the technology which globally data centers are adopting. And I understand that a few data centers in India have adopted that immersive cooling systems within India now. So this is going to be a big thing for the next stage of advancement in data center technologies.
Thank you, Ajay sir. So you actually spoke about the transition from Industry 4.0 to 5.0. You briefly touched upon it, and I'll come back to you later in this conversation to talk about how critical the data center strategy becomes around this transition. Rishi, I have the same question, but from an IT company perspective. You know, the requirements might be different, the use cases might be different, but the AI ML workloads are, as intense as any other industry. So again, in your organization, how well is your IT infrastructure equipped to support these advanced analytics and AI ML advancements? And what measures are you taking to ensure that your data centers can handle these advanced requirements?
Yeah, thanks, Shipra. So, from the data center perspective and how these new emerging technology load can be handled, as well as how can we use these technologies inside the data center, as well as for our IT support, IT management. So definitely, so we as an organization use, hybrid model from the data center perspective. We use on-prem data centers. We use hyperscaler, hosting our load on these like kind of Google or Microsoft AWS. Also, we use some co-locations across the globe. And we are also exploring if we can, take our load to some third-party data centers as well. So we are building our data center in such a way, the technology which are using, those technologies should have the capability of AI and ML. Because in today's world, the scalability, velocity is pretty much required. Days are gone when we were able to support a new client, new business, then it will take, say, 12 weeks or 16 weeks. Now, it has to be done on like real-time basis. So how fast we can bring up any new process to enable the revenue generation for the organization. So the data center which we use, it should be scalable enough. There should be enough capacity. Also, we need to bring the efficiency. We cannot hold any unused capacity within our environment. So that kind of flexibility we need whenever we build any IT infrastructure, including data center for our organization. As well as all these new like ESG is one of the critical factor for any organization, not only ours. How we are uh, delivering the power, how are we making the cooling system, how which technology are we using, uh, so how we can become carbon neutral. So all those are very, very critical parameters while we select any technology, any third party data center, or when we expand anywhere. So it is not just in house or uh, using any like SIFI kind of data center or any hyperscaler kind of environment. And we went through the CP is doing really great thing from how they are building their data center, how they are building the capacity. Also, I think uh, I assume that they would be working on the edge data centers, which is also very, very critical for today's requirement, today's workload requirement, when you need computing power near to the edge. So these are some of the factors which we as an organization ensure while uh, predicting or building any capacity for us.
So Rishi, you already answered the next question that I had for you, which is the criteria for selecting the data center provider. But I will come back to you later. Maybe you can we can talk more about that criteria. Now, Ratan, in your case, the nuances of your industry are different. I mean, I won't say completely different, but there are certain things which makes your industry very unique. So one is, of course, the real-time data, the real-time analytics. I'm assuming for a stockbroking company like yours, that's speed is the key. So, and of course, analytics and the advanced, AI ML tools that you have to use. So in that context, how equipped is your IT infrastructure to deal with these kind of advanced tools and real-time requirements? And, how are you building that IT infrastructure to cater to these requirements?
Thanks, Shipra. So, rightly mentioned, in case of BFSI, particularly with respect to basically a trading entity, broking entity, the more focus is basically on the real-time data, because it's a helpful to the customer to take a decision with respect to his investment. So he needs that kind of real-time data anytime during the trading hours. So because the market is so time volatile during this trading part particular period, and if you are providing that kind of delay in that particular data, it basically affect a kind of turns into a losses kind of thing for an investor. So we have building this kind of data center more specifically on the co-location, and then third-party vendor which are supporting us a lot for that particular kind of data sets. The more focus when you rightly mentioned for choosing a data center is rightly scalability in specifically BFSI sector, because of post-COVID, you can see the amount of investor coming up in the and opening an account. There is a large number of surge in the number of customers. So you are more focusing on the part of that it can be easily scalable, and not only horizontally but vertically. We can also scale it up for the data center part. Second focus is basically on the not only scalability but also for providing some kind of storage solutions basically, so that it can have a more analytical and real-time data to customer can be a second focus. And most important, what we in the presentation also Gitesh has mentioned, moving toward from predictive to cognitive. That is basically what I consider is that basically not only about the mean time to detect a kind of thing, but also to mean time to a response kind of a study where you are basically doing a auto remediation for a particular instant whenever there is a kind of, and this kind of like CFI providing this kind of solution, definitely it will help in the for choosing a right data center.
Thanks, Namratan, for sharing that. And in fact, security is another key parameter, key aspect for all industries, more specifically financial services. And I'll come back to that. But before that, Dinesh and Gautam, I know you've already spoke about SIFI and some of the innovations you're undertaking. But if you can throw a little bit more light, because SIFI has been in the data center space for over 2 decades now. So any specific innovations and investments that you're making to enable the AI landscape for enterprises across industries? And if you can highlight some top ones, some key innovations and investments that you're making.
So let me address this. Thanks, Shipra. So as a service provider, right, we are doing a lot of investment, actually very heavy investment in artificial intelligence to enhance the capability of our data center facility. So AI for operational efficiency, where we are doing predictive maintenance, right? My AI algos can predict equipment failure, right, before they happen, allowing for proactive maintenance and reducing downtime. So there is energy optimization which is happening, where my AI tools can optimize cooling system and power usage, reducing energy consumption and cost. At the same time, on the security enhancement as well, we are doing AI tool deployment, which can help identify and mitigate security threats in real time by analyzing vast amount of data for suspicious patterns which happens in the industry. At the same time, right, on the biometric access and other AI driven technology which can help to improve my physical security measures. So a lot of automation on the automation front as well. A lot of investment is also going, right, where my the AI tool investment which we are doing can dynamically allocate resources like storage and compute on the current demand, improving overall efficiency. At the same time, workflow automation which can help happen, which can automate a lot of the environment where my manpower or a human resource doesn't have to go and invest time. So lot of these particular activities which are happening across all my data center facility. At the same time, scalability, flexibility, which can always cater to that. At the same time, edge data center expansion which are happening on the AI environment, those environment also keeps happening. So this is what as an organization we are doing investment across.
Gitesh, anything you want to add from your side on this?
Yeah, Gautam has covered it briefly. But yes, see, data center is going through evolution mainly because of AI/ML workload coming up, and it is completely changing the way traditional data center design were in place. And we are conscious about this fact. We are well aware that the trend of AI adoption is increasing, and with that, we have to invest in new age technologies to make sure that we offer enough scalability to our customers. So scalability remains to the core of everything when we are talking about AI world. And that's why you see today our data center architecture has completely changed. When we earlier we used to set up data center, say one data center building or two data center buildings, and we can safely say that it'll go on for 3-5 years of the customer requirements or even maybe more. But today, now we are talking about data center campuses. We are talking about 300, 500 megawatt, and we're just acquiring land next to our data center campus because we want to make sure that that scalability is offered to the customer. Now, innovation is happening in terms of how you increase the efficiency of the data center, because more power you consume, right? You spend more money in the power, you spend more money in creating the infrastructure required, and obviously, uh, you're harming the environment as well with the greenhouse gases emission and related effects. So all those investments are made to make sure that we increase the efficiency of our data centers, we reduce our power utilization efficiency factor, improve efficiency of all our data centers. So those continuous investment, either through in-house research and development or through acquisition of startups, we are continuously doing. And those benefits are obviously will be passed on to our customers.
So I saw security and of course scalability coming up again and again in this conversation, and rightly so. So I just one is that I want to come back to your mention of the impact of Industry 4.0. So how important do you think is the data center strategy in facilitating this seamless transition from Industry 4.0 to 5.0? Because we're already seeing discussions now happening around Industry 5.0. And so how critical does data center become in this whole seamless transition?
So Shipra, see this transition from Industry 4.0 to 5 is a gradual. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a long way, and definitely data center has a piece of say in this thing, because when you're talking about all this, it will require a lot of scalability in terms of the computing resources that you need. That is essential for moving on to Industry 4.0. And with the focus of manufacturing, the entire use cases, the entire AI ML models are based on the three patterns. One is in terms of productivity enhancement, in terms of quality enhancement, and a very critical factor, which is the safety of employees and safety of personnel which are on the shop floor. So these factors are going to be contributing towards the uh, entire say in AI and ML technologies being put in place from a manufacturing perspective. Now, from a product perspective, our strategies again are on uptime of our products. How long, how efficient are the products in terms of running the operations? Okay, the vehicles which are on the road and not requiring any service. So uptime of vehicles is important, and that is creating a huge amount of tracking traceability. A lot of data is being captured from these vehicles to continuously monitor and ensure that the performance is enhanced on an ongoing basis. A lot of these inputs are taken back into R&D in terms of product development, etc. So all this requires a huge amount of computing, and that's where scalability is a very critical thing. And most of the data centers, it's not only just the data centers, but it is the capability of the data centers to provide that computing power to organizations to scale up to that level is going to be very essential. I see that there are challenges which are there, because a lot of these hyperscalers also not having the relevant computing resources available to scale up to that level as of now. But yes, they have to gear up for getting into that model. Simple cases wherever you have to scale up on demand basis, you have to have certain wait periods for higher compute workloads. For lower compute workload, you're still able to manage it out. But the higher you go, the scalability of data centers and computing power of hyperscalers and service providers is going to be essential.
That's true. And in some cases, we are also seeing some manufacturing companies who have skipped 4.0 and are now already preparing for 5.0. And therefore, I think there the shift will be much faster, where they are directly moving to Industry 5.0. And therefore, the requirements around computational power will also increase drastically for them.
Yes, yes.
Rishi, in terms of your industry, I believe security becomes a very critical aspect because you are dealing with the data of your customers as well. So how do your requirements around security and safeguarding your customers' privacy influence your data center strategy?
Yeah, so as I talked about earlier, security is key to when we build, whether it is our on-prem data center or we choose hyperscaler or a third-party data center like SIFI. Because we not only process our internal data, but data of our customers and customers' customer. So we look at so we do a thorough study of any third-party services which we take, including data center. So what do they use? How do they use? What technology are they using? What measures have they implemented? What kind of security tool, technology, processes do they have in building their data center? What kind of certification have they got? whether they comply with all the industry standard certifications related to, say, financial, credit card, other ISO certification for their data center, as well as not only so one is the so another physical security is a key aspect for a third party data center, because again those data center would be housing the data, critical data for organizations. So like as I said, the technology they are using, the product they are using, the security measures they have implemented, these are some of the very, very critical security aspect which we follow while choosing any data center. Um, and it applies to, as I said, not only these third-party data centers, but we also look at whether it is GCP or Azure, or in fact, in our internal data centers also, what all technology are we deploying? So we talk about like zero trust. We talk about also, the workforce is pretty hybrid, hybrid nowadays. People are working from anywhere, so the flow of data from anywhere to anywhere is there. So how can we protect? How can we protect when the person is accessing your critical data, critical infrastructure from an open internet, from when he or she is working from their home, from when they are mobile, or when they are working from the office, and how the data is hosted in any of these data center, whether it is in cloud, whether it is in your on-prem data center. So we look at like 360-degree, we take 360-degree view of security measure while we choose any data center, as I spoke about.
And Navratan, in your case as well, security, of course, is a topmost priority, and because you are operating in a landscape where you have a lot of regulatory compliance requirements, again, which are ever evolving, and the regulatory landscape is evolving, the security threat landscape is evolving. So how do these requirements impact your data center strategy?
Yeah, rightly mentioned. So basically, since we are governed by the regulators heavy and there's a lots of changes coming in every now and then. Just recently, we exchanges moved from T+0 1 settlement to T+0 settlement, which was industry like kind of India's first kind of in the world. We were the first one to do it in the kind of thing. So lots of security angles is also play important role, and since it is more with respect to basically customer data. Because it's more, when I talk about customer data, it's more about the customer personal data. And I think so, like, it play important role with respect to, because what Rishi also rightly mentioned, when we analyze the data center, we also see about the certifications, we see about the reference from the past customers, how do that has been taken care of in the past, what kind of robust data center cyber security they have with respect to center, what kind of compliance they have with respect to regulatory standards, and how they are able to safeguard the integrity of the organization data. That also play an important role while selecting a data center.
So I think we're seeing a whole lot of views depending on the industries, but security is one area that is consistent across all of them. Gitesh and Gautam, from the experience that SIFI has with organizations across different verticals, and also you heard the three practitioners here talk about how important is the data center strategy for them and how they're working on it. What are you hearing from the other IT leaders also, and how do you see that aligning with their priorities?
See, today, I think we have covered most of the points in earlier discussion. But today, everybody is looking at primarily how do they make sure that the data centers are scalable, reliable, and data center partner is flexible. These are the three things which are very, very important for any customers today. And when they do evaluation of data centers, these are the basic three things they look at. The reason being, all the businesses today, virtually they're run by technology. If anything happens in the data center, the entire business halts literally. They're not able to function. And having reliable data center partner, at the same time, when you want to expand the business, you need to invest in IT, IT infrastructure, applications, and all related support IT systems, which essentially needs to upgrade your data center or expand your data center footprint. So you need that scalability within the same premise. You cannot have different premises and connect through fiber or set up networking infrastructure in all the data center. So scalability, reliability, and the kind of flexibility, because uh, you need that urgent response to the business request raised by the customers. These are the three things customers are looking at. Obviously, how do their partners are investing in the technology to be future ready? That will also, will be the discussion, continuous discussion that happens in either quarterly business reviews or annual business reviews with the respective partners. Shipra, I mean, that's something I can add.
Along with what Gitesh mentioned, I also want to add, actually cost optimization is also one thing which most of the organization ask for, specifically when they have a data center footprint at multiple locations or large DC footprints actually. So a lot of organization ask for this particular cost optimization, and obviously we have seen those trends, we have seen those particular analysis when these customers are shifting to co-location with better PUE, with better operational efficiency, those kind of a cost optimization can be achieved.
So in fact, Gautam and Gitesh, you mentioned what your customers are looking for when they are, moving there, or rather looking for a data center provider. So let me see if that aligns with what our three practitioners here look for in a data center provider. So Ajay sir, for an organization such as yours, what are the critical factors that you consider when selecting a data center provider?
So as highlighted by Gitesh also, is cost is one of the critical factors, definitely, for sure, because for a manufacturing organization, it is critical to keep the operational costs at as low as possible. And that is also one factor wherein it also determines the kind of efficiencies a data center provider is having in their operations to be able to come to that cost level. If they are committing at a cost level, that means that they have their basics right, and they are able to optimize their costs accordingly. So cost is one factor. Scalability, definitely, as I put up, is one critical thing. And computing, the scalability of computing, it's not only space or infrastructure, but the computing provisioning, that should be scalable. So that's something which is critical. The other factor which is important for us is the skill sets. The skill sets of the teams, which are technical teams of the service providers. If it is SIFI or if it is anybody else, whether they have the relevant skill sets to be able to cater to our needs. That is extremely important for us. So these are some of the factors which basically help us in terms of making a decision on the right service provider.
I'm sure Rishi and Navratan will agree on the cost part. Definitely, it will actually feature in the top three criteria for all organizations. Rishi, you spoke about briefly on what you're looking for in a data center provider. So, if you have to list down the top three priorities for you or considerations for you when choosing a data center provider, what would be those top three?
Yeah. So as Ajayji talked about cost, cost is, I will keep it separate because it is de facto, everyone is looking for. So definitely, he talked about scalability also. Scalability is very, very key factor, nowadays. The way business expect the IT to ramp and what they expect from us as an IT department. So we have to be, provide a highly scalable solution, and wherein data center need to support us. The flexibility, like whenever there is any ramp up, ramp down, we need to get that kind of flexibility. We need to get that kind of efficiency. And third is, the responsiveness, which is very, very critical. The observability, how they are able to, maintain the uptime, how they are able to deliver the performance. That is very, very key and critical, because your entire business, as Gitesh both talked about, data center is base of any business nowadays. Earlier, manufacturing was not that much dependent on IT or data center. However, now every organization, so the uptime, the responsiveness, the scalability, flexibility, security, these are, key factors which I would look for any data center, to be delivering on.
Great. Navratan, your top 3 considerations when choosing a data center provider.
So in addition to what Sir has mentioned about, I can add up more with respect to flexibility in terms of the contract term, or you can say service level agreements that basically guarantee us uptime and or consider adjustment based on any kind of a requirement changing. I can say about the carrier neutrality, what Gitesh also mentioned in the slide with respect to flexibility in that network connectivity, precisely about the load latency or the track record of the data center with respect to their reputation, you can say, or with respect to efficiency, about the more respect to ESG, basically, with respect to water management, waste management, any kind of conservation, kind of energy efficiency that can be considered after the cost and scalability model.
Yeah. So in fact, sustainability is increasingly becoming an important criteria from, let's say, 2, 3, 4 years back, 5 years back, when it was a good to have, have thing, and to now when it has become the topmost important criteria, because there's a lot of focus on sustainability within organizations, not just in India, but globally. And so sustainability will feature in the top requirements for not only data centers, but all the top technologies. And especially, I think, with the large language models that now require extensive training, and they again are, let's say, consume, or rather are very, they require a lot of energy, much more than your traditional workloads. So here, sustainability and energy efficiency will become even more critical. So before we wrap up, Gitesh and Gautam, I want to go back to the first poll that we did, where security came up as the most important concern. So I want to wrap up on the same note, because it is a major concern across across verticals. It doesn't depend which industry they are. It is a topmost concern. So how do you ensure that your customers' data is secure, protected, and it remains compliant with the regulatory needs?
As a service provider, we implement a large measures to ensure both physical and data security at the data center site, right? So generally, these measures are designed to protect against any unauthorized access or data breaches which happen, or security threats which are there. So there is a multiple layer of physical security which is there, which include your basic access control, your biometric access, your man traps, or your surveillances measures which are there at the site, your CCTV camera, 24/7 monitoring, your parameter security, which is their fencing barriers. So multiple layer of physical security is there till the time customer reaches their cage area, right? So, and at the same time, the data security measures are also aligned, which could be like data encryption, right? Which remains encrypted data in transit using robust encryption methodology, which we use at the site, or network security, whether it's a firewall, deploying firewall to block unauthorized access and filter traffic, right? Your intrusion detection and prevention system at the site, your access control, your backup and recovery, your monitoring, your logging, the mechanism which are there, right? Your security policy and the multiple level of trainings which we do for the team members, right? So we go through multiple level of measures actually, right, to ensure both physical and data security at the sites. And based on the customer requirement, based on the regulation, based on the compliances, based on the kind of a solutions which we are offering, all these things can be integrated and can be offered. At the same time, these compliances certifications comes in place, which we already go through multiple level of compliances standards and audits at the data center side to offer those particular as a solution to customers. So I think I can invite these all customers, all respected panelists which are there actually, to visit the data center site so we can showcase you how these particular, right, the physical security, at the same time these data security measures are taken care at the data center site.
Sure. In fact, if I think if you can mention the email ID where uh, all the delegates who are watching this, if they want to reach out to you for any information, if you can mention the email ID where they can contact you in the chat box. So
For
thank
sure.
you so much, everyone, to all my panelists, Ajay sir, Rishi, Navratan, Gitesh, and Gautam. Thank you so much for your time. It was a wonderful conversation. I know we can go on and on when it comes to AI and ML workloads and the data center and compute requirements, but we would also now like to take up the questions that were being asked by the delegates, and we have a lot of questions. I think something to the tune of 80 odd questions or more we have received in this time. In less than, I think, in about an hour. So what I'll do is before we get get some of the questions answered, we'll have another poll, interesting poll. So can we have the poll question up on the screen, please? The question is, how far along is your organization in its IT infrastructure journey with respect to data centers? Again, you have 5 choices and you can have one choice. So how far along is your organization in its IT infrastructure journey with respect to data centers? In case you haven't already voted, you can do that now before we pull it off the screen. We can take it off the screen in another few seconds if we have majority who have voted so far. Can we show the results now? Okay, 36% are moderately developed with significant progress, followed by advanced but with ongoing improvements. Gautam, Gitesh, Rishi, Ajay sir, Navratan, any comments on this? Is this something that you also kind of concur with, or is it a little different from what your thoughts are?
I think a lot of organizations, Shipra, would have put in a lot of investments in this domain, definitely. So I think poll is appropriately right in terms of the third question, third response. I am a bit surprised on pointers which say that they're fully state-of-the-art developed ones. So that's something which is surprising because people are in the journey right now.
Yes.
The journey, some are advanced, some are continuously improving, but somebody who has already done huge changes, only the service providers would be in that category, I believe.
Yeah. And also, I think even if somebody is like fully prepared, because the workloads, the technologies, they are changing, evolving, advancing so fast that what seems like ready today may not be the case
Yes,
1 year or few months down the line, because there's so much rapid advancement and change happening.
sure.
Absolutely, absolutely, Shipra. As you mentioned, see, the technology advancement is happening so fast now that nowadays, if you have to go and host GPU-based workload, where the requirement goes up from 30-40 kilowatt to 200 kilowatts. So accordingly, those entire solutioning, your infrastructure requirement also gets changed. If you have to go and deploy that liquid immersion, or if you have to go and deploy rear heat door exchanger, your overall environment has to change actually. So accordingly, that advancement needed. So it's a continuous progress which is needed actually. So obviously that advancement is required.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, everyone. And we will now get started with the Q&A session because I know the delegates have been waiting for it for too long. And while we may not be able to take up all the questions, definitely not 80 of them, but we'll try to at least cover 6 to 7 questions. So let me get started with the first question here. Just one second. So the first question is, do we get dedicated hosts, including processing, network, and storage? And in what area of data center management can AI be leveraged without compromising security?
So yes, absolutely dedicated host can be provided. It's a kind of a service model which could be there where if we are building up a kind of a dedicated infrastructure, private cloud infrastructure, where the entire environment could be dedicated and privately owned by the for the customer itself actually. So this particular thing can obviously be catered on a service model depending on the customer requirement. This can be offered. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The next question is, how are the ESG credits passed to us?
So that process policies are still yet to be defined by the government actually, right? How so as of now, as part of the regulations which are there, so ESG credit cannot be passed on to the end customer actually. It could be form of if the customers are looking for physical credits actually. The one could be the kind of a cost benefit could be there actually, which can be mutually discussed and can be derived. But if the physical carbon credit has to be passed on, that has to be as part of the government regulation and norms, and those policies are still getting defined.
Right. The next question is, do we get dedicated hosts, including, okay, so this question was already answered. Okay. Mm, yes, a lot of these questions were already answered. Okay, so are we referring to the data center solution for AI companies or AI operations, or we are referring AI-enabled data center operation?
I think it's a holistic approach which is there. So yes, data centers are AI ready in the sense the if the workload has to be come and hosted at the data center site, so data centers are ready accordingly, right? With different cooling methodology coming up, so data centers are ready. Any kind of a solution can be offered. At the same time, my data centers are ready with the AI tools as well to bring better operational efficiency, better operational excellence with predictive analysis coming up. I can offer those kind of a solution as well. So in both the scenario, it's AI ready.
Okay. Um, I am just trying to see which ones to pick up because there are a lot of questions. One question is that can you provide detailed information on the sustainability initiatives and strategies that CFE-TC are implementing to reduce energy consumption and minimize environmental impact? I think you have already answered that in your presentation. Uh, how are AI technologies integrated into data center operations? I think you've also kind of included that. Another one is how backed up data is secured. Do we have air gap? Maybe you would like to take this up.
Sorry, if you can just repeat the question.
How backed up data is secured? Do we have air gap?
Yes, backup data is absolutely secure. There are different methodology comes actually whether we have to give up data backup in a physical form. It could be tape drive, it could be hard drive actually, which could be there. It could be at the same site, it could be at a multiple site, it could be at a customer location. So different forms of technologies are used actually to do this data backup, and we do it for a lot of customers actually. Depending on your environment, depending on your kind of a database you are using, actually, a lot of things can get aligned with it. But yes, as a solution, this can be offered.
Okay. I think a lot of delegates also asked about METI empanelment. I
Yes,
think.
absolutely. This is very critical aspect. Data centers are MITI panel, right? Because nowadays government has made a norm. Actually, data center has to be MITI certified, MITI panel, and our data centers are MITI panel. And already a lot of government customers are hosted at our data center sites.
Okay. So I think since it's already 4:22 and we could have gone on with the questions, but of course it's not possible to answer all of them now. But what we will do is, Gautam and Gitesh, if you would like to take out some time later and go through the questions, you have already answered some of them live on the chat. But any more of the questions that you would like to get answered, perhaps you can do over email as well. And
For
to
sure.
delegates, Gautam has mentioned the email ID, so you can write on that email ID with your any additional questions as well as to know more about the data center visit. Great, thank you so much. And before that, we have the last poll question. Can we have that up on the screen, please? What is your current stance on utilizing external data center services? I think this is very important question because this kind of gives you an insight into where organizations are in terms of their IT infrastructure strategy. What is your current stance on utilizing external data center services? You can take the poll now before we get it off screen. A few more seconds to go. Can we show the results now? Okay, so the largest number says open to using co-location services, followed by actively transitioning to outsourced hosting solutions. Is that what you see, Gautam, in your day-to-day interactions?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have seen that traction has increased actually post-COVID scenario. People have started understanding the benefit of co-location services. At the same time, when we talk about data center site, it's not only about co-location. Your data center site is offering you co-location, which could be hybrid environment. It can offer you cloud infrastructure, interconnectivity with different hyperscaler, because these hyperscalers are also sitting at the same data center site. So you get direct connectivity with these hyperscalers. So co-location is an integrated approach, and this is the way forward actually. Yeah.
Great. So with that, we come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, everyone, the delegates, for being part of this insightful webinar. And a very special thanks to our panelists, Ajay sir, Rishi and Navratan, and of course, Gitesh and Gautam, for your insights, and your engagement and participation made it a valuable experience. So we appreciate your time and contributions. And while you log out from the webinar, you will have a screen, you will have a form which will appear on your screen. So do fill up this feedback form, and it will give us a lot of insights into where all we can improve further. Thank you so much, and everyone have a good day ahead.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Shipra.
Shubha.
Have a
All the
nice day.
and thank you all the delegates. Thank you so much, everyone.